Hi everybody. Welcome to this workshop and live podcast, and welcome everyone who's joining us online. So this is a part of Beyond the Label podcast that we'll be releasing, and well, thank you so much for having me here today at All About You Wellness Center. I'm here with Sonia Samtani, clinical hypnotherapist and master hypnotherapy trainer. Well,
Yes.
before we begin, Sonia, can you just tell our podcast audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I am so happy to be here doing this with you, Leanne. So as Leanne said, I am a hypnotherapist, I'm a hypnotherapy trainer, and I own a wellness center in Hong Kong called All About You. And we specialize in mental mastery, emotional resilience, and helping people to move through their coping mechanisms with private sessions, workshops, and training.
Okay, amazing. And obviously, we're at the center right now. And I just want to start by just talking a little bit about like why, for me personally, I decided to like do this with Sonia. So one day we're just chatting about like taboos and stigmas in Hong Kong, and one of them being like, as a woman, there's just so many stigmas around. And for me, I'm not a mother myself, but one question that I get asked frequently is that, oh, when are you getting married? When are you having kids? So I was just sharing to Sonia about those feelings that I have about, just what it is like being a woman in Hong Kong society. And Sonia opened up to me about her own experience and journey about her miscarriage and abortion, which lead us here now, and like really hoping to be able to support like anyone who have went through that or went through any kind of loss. So Sonia, can you just tell us a little bit why this matters to you and why you decided to come here today to share with us your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was pregnant twice, and the first time I had an abortion. The second time was a miscarriage, and both pregnancies were very much something I wanted, and I wanted to keep both the babies. And this was probably one of the most painful periods of my life when I aborted, not because it was my desire, but I made that choice. And during that time, I was looking for support, and I was looking for support groups and someone to talk to, and there was nothing available in Hong Kong. So I ended up doing a lot of my own processes, and I practiced the journey of acceptance, and I'm sure we'll talk about that when I go into my story. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is nobody else did. And after I went through my process, I went to a big occasion, and I was supposed to MC that occasion. And people were asking me, why aren't you MCing, and where were you, and what's going on? And I said to them, because I let go of my baby. That's why I couldn't do this. And I just told them the truth, that I was pregnant and I let go of my baby and I couldn't make it, and that's why now I'm attending and I'm in a vulnerable place. And through my sharing, so many people came up to me and said, me too. Oh, that's happened to me too. Oh wow, I'm so touched by this. Both men and women, actually. And they were telling me what their wives went through. Some women took me to the corner and told me what they went through. And I just found that this was such an untold story that people found it safe to share with me because I was sharing it with them.
Yeah.
And if there was a platform where I can share, I'd be really happy to. So that's why this came about when we were talking.
Well, thank you so much for being here and being open with us today. Just going deeper into your own story, what were some of the main, of course, challenges and some of the things that were going through your head when you were going through all that, especially since you mentioned that there weren't a lot of support or resources around?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the first pregnancy. The first pregnancy, I was about 3 months into the pregnancy. And then I found out that the baby wasn't forming well. And there was a Down syndrome chromosome, but it was not mild, it was severe. And I remember my whole world getting shattered, and I was in India, and my ex-husband told me over the phone. So I actually didn't have anybody who was mine around them when I heard the news. But I was in a workshop, and I remember that night I was going into a reality, and that reality suddenly pivoted. I was going into a reality that I thought I would be having a baby, and this is my world, and suddenly I hear this news, and there was somebody from that workshop who said, I'm just going to go in your room, in your hotel room, and sit with you. There's nothing I can say to you. There's no therapy. There's no healing I can give you. I'm just going to be here. And she was there with me while I cried. And I think that was one of the most loving things anyone has ever done for me. And I will be thankful to that woman there from that workshop. So that's how I heard the news, and I began to digest it. It was probably something I wanted most. If we're talking about ego desire, I desired that. And I desired the normalcy of that child so much that I said, okay, I'm going to do everything to now manifest this. I'm a manifester, right? So I'm going to manifest the health of this child. So I will do my meditations. I will do therapy. I will speak to the soul of the child. I will do the higher side. I will do everything. And I did. So on that workshop itself, I invited somebody to come to my room to do some healing. I did therapy. I came back to Hong Kong, and I remember it was a very painful flight. And I kept waking up and reminding myself that, oh, I heard this news. Like, this is the reality that you're in now. It's different. It's different. And when I went to the doctor to double check and do a scan and everything, he was like, the chances of this being normal are very slim. And let's do another procedure. If you want to be 100% sure, they need to put an injection through my stomach and actually see. And I was like, yes, please do that. And it confirmed the severity of it, right? So if the thickness of the neck was supposed to be like this, mine was really thick. And he was talking about it being a stillborn. And everyone around me was telling me the best thing to do was to abort. So then I could only accept. So in the beginning, my agenda was transform, transform. There's 2%, transform, transform. And then I remember at that doctor's office when it was confirmed that even that 2% was not the case, it's 100%, I shifted my mindset from change this to accept this. Because the change this is me going on to my attachment, my desire, to accept this. And that was, again, as I said, probably one of the most difficult things that I've experienced, because the amount of attachment that I had was a lot, and the amount that I wanted this child was a lot, and the love that I felt was, I've never felt something like that before. And the child was not even out, it was inside. And there was so much love for something that I've never touched, I've never held. And yet I felt like it was a part of me, and then I needed to let that part of me go. So then I just went into all of my emotions and honoring my emotions, that deep, deep sadness, anger at myself, anger at the world, anger at life, and then sorrow and all the emptiness. I just went through it, and I was on this very conscious journey of being aware of how I feel. And once I did that, then I did a lot of processes on speaking to the child, understanding this, understanding the deeper purpose of it, understanding the soul purpose of it, writing a letter, putting that letter in the altar, prayers. I actually did so much self-work at that point that by the time I was yes, okay to the abortion, which I wasn't in the beginning, I actually said it doesn't matter, I'm gonna just go through this. And then I came to a point of, yes, okay, probably the most loving thing after doing my meditations and speaking to the soul was to let this go. I was so at peace. I was so at peace before the procedure. And I remember going into the operation theater with that sense of peace, understanding that, you know, my consciousness is going to come out here. Something is going to get released. I'm releasing the soul of that child because, of course, I do spiritual work. So what is going to come out will be matter, and I've already let go of that soul, and I'll be up there, the matter will go, I'll come back, and she'll be in a different place.
Wow.
So that was the journey of, my first one. When I woke up, again, I felt a lot of peace. So I went from probably the most severe pain that I've ever been through to a very beautiful place of peace.
How long was that process?
2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. From when I decided to accept. Because I was also on a time limit. If I didn't do it now, it wouldn't be safe.
And so this was the first time.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that there was a second time.
Yes.
So did you have to go through the same process all over again? Or were you at a different mindset or headspace?
I was at a different mindset. So the second one was actually a few months after. And I didn't expect to be pregnant. I wasn't trying to, but I got pregnant again. And very close to finding out about it, I felt a lot of pain. I went to the doctor and he was then talking about it being a miscarriage. So I processed that. Once again, I was speaking to the soul of the child and releasing whatever was there and placing it. The second one, I had the tools and I had much more of the strength to do. The first one was much more debilitating for me personally.
What tools or just self-help practices would you recommend? Because obviously you are in this spiritual industry, you're a coach yourself, but for the rest of us who don't have that kind of initial oh, I know what XYZ I have to do. So what are the first steps that people can just really go into, or just when that happens? Because it must be so overwhelming to first receive the news and to have all those emotions sink in. And you were saying that you had to go to a social event, you had to go to work, and people have to also go through their daily lives. So when that emotion just sinks and it happens, what do you do?
Give yourself space and be honest about it. So for me, I took some time off work, which was a big thing for me to do, to reschedule things. So I took some time off work to go through my own processes. And I spoke about it. So I spoke about what I was going through rather than keeping it inside, especially to people I was close to. And I wanted to also speak to women that had gone through it. That's why I was looking for support groups. That's why I was looking out for, does Hong Kong have anything? Does Hong Kong have a place where we can sit in a circle and we can just share? And it doesn't have to be fixing or even healing. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just sharing. Sharing the love. Sharing the fact that you still feel like a mother even if you've not given birth. Sharing the fact that you have that maternal love. So I spoke. I joined some online forums. I spoke there. I spoke to friends. I spoke to family. And I received so much love and support from that. Yeah, so I spoke about it. Is it okay? And I shared and I gave myself space to be with what's going on. I was honest with me, and I was honest with the people around me, and I was very honest with my partner. I find that a lot of people here are either kind of wanting to dismiss it, or maybe not honest with their partner. And my partner at that time was extremely affected by it too.
Right.
Yeah, and he was going through his own process, and he was crying, and he was devastated, and he was also talking. And it was very interesting, some of the comments that we were hearing, because we heard a lot of Me Too's. And when he was talking to his friends, some of the comments was, oh, well, that child was broken, so we just forgot about it. So we just kind of went on with it, forget about the broken one, and just do something else. And that impacts relationships. Because if you're not honoring something that is there between the two of you, especially, it's a death. It's a death in the family, right? And if you are not acknowledging and grieving it, the energy of death remains in the space. And the energy of death remains in the space of the couple. And it impacts a lot of couple relationships if you're not actually dealing with it together.
Yeah.
So I really spoke about it with my partner to go through this together.
And I'm just wow. This this is a whole different level of honesty, I feel like, because first you have to go through that self acceptance, which I think is already very difficult for lots of people. And knowing like what is going on internally, then being honest with yourself and being honest with your partner, then being honest with other people. How do you first have that self acceptance? Because there must be a lot of thoughts even around like, is something wrong with me, like why is this happening to me? And yes, and with the misinformation that we see online, like we don't hear anything like this, so you must go through a lot of just self-doubt, or just a lot of feelings coming up,
Yeah.
that is going out from like where is this coming from? Yeah.
I did go there, and
Yeah.
especially because in my family there's also a disability, right? So children born that are not 100% healthy, and so I did go there in my mind that my child is not normal too, and what is going on here? And that's one of the things that I addressed when I was working with my therapist on feeling abnormal. And again, normalcy is a label, yet our ego subscribes to these labels so much. And it's okay to have an ego as long as you have awareness of it. So I was just really grateful that I'm aware enough to see all of these limitations and look at my limiting beliefs and me feeling abnormal and me feeling, oh, I'm from an abnormal family and what is happening to me and why is this happening to me? And I did go into victimhood. And I was observing all of it. I was in it and observing it and in it and observing it. And again, I'm just really grateful that I have so many people that are able to do this with me. They're able to see both parts of it. They're able to see my victimness without treating me like a victim. My mom is fabulous in that because she's also on a conscious journey. So she can accept how I'm feeling without identifying that that's who I am. And I can do that too. So if I'm going through something and if I'm feeling am I abnormal or I'm devastated and I'm so sad, or even if I feel suicidal, I'm not going to be like, this is me. This is a passing thought. This is something that I can see go through me, and who I am is not that. So that's kind of all the things that I was allowing.
Wow. No, I think that is so beautiful that you're like you went through that and now you're being able to speak about that really openly. And just on like tools and resources, what do you think are the available resources now that people can go to find? And what were some of the tools that you wish that you had before?
Yeah. Well, when I was doing the research, 1 in 4 women have miscarriages or pregnancy loss. It is so common and it's there. So the resources that we have within ourselves that we can tap into is resilience, courage, anchoring. The main thing is awareness, right? Be aware of what you are going through and know that you are not your experience, and understand that our desires and our attachment to our desires is what will make us miserable. And the only way to get peace is to be with what is, not what you want. And my baby was the biggest teacher of this for me in my life. Because as I said, I've never wanted anything more. So the more I desired that baby, the more miserable I would be. And the more I was able to be with what is, the more I had peace. And that was such a big lesson. And that has helped me so much in any other desire that I have. And of course I'm going to have desires, right? That's how we are. That's what the ego does. We're going to have desires. But if the desire is coming from I need this, there's ego, there's attachment, and then I need it to feel good enough. And if that desire is coming from, well, I would like this, but I'm complete with or without it, then it's inspiration.
Right.
And that desire is great for growth. So it's really helped me evolve.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how would you suggest us as a community and just as women who are learning about this, what can we do to break the stigma and allow women to be more open and have a more supportive community as a whole?
Yeah, I would say speak. Speak up about the truth of what's going on for you. Yeah, and it's okay. I also hear women say, well, I don't want to go there because it's too painful. Yeah? So if you don't want to go there because it's too painful, where is that pain? It's inside you, right? So, and who is not going there? Your awareness. So what are you going to do? You're going to keep your pain inside, and your awareness is going to wander around and pretend it's not there. And your body is still going to hold it. Yeah, and the only way to actually move past it is for that awareness to look at what I've been escaping from, look at what I've been hiding from, and go through the pain. So I would strongly suggest for women to look at it, face it, and move through it. Then it's okay to talk about it. Like, I'm so okay to talk about one of the most painful times in my life, and I'm doing it with peace right now. And I can talk about what it was like, and I can remember how painful it was, but I'm not in pain today. Yeah, I am neutral today talking about it, even though I can remember it. So it's not a must that you have to talk about it, but be in a place where if it's needed, you can. And at the time of pain, please face it. And it's okay, and it's natural, and it happens. And in your circle, you will definitely have people who've experienced it.
Well, thank you so much for all the tools and just sharing your story with us. And is there any questions from anyone offline or online right now? No? Okay.
I hope that answered all your questions.
Yeah, that answers all my questions. And I think this, even for me, I'm gonna let it sink in a little bit because it was really just like heartfelt. Like, we all feel you. And I think that's just so important that we all acknowledge that we see each other. And I think just as women in Hong Kong, like, we need to allow each other to just be themselves. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks for allowing me to share the story.
Yeah.